SNAP, or what we euphemistically call food stamp payments, will not go out November 1st. We're all done.
Is that true?
Yeah, no more money in that pot. And 42 million human beings in the United States get food stamps.
That's a mandatory spending item.
The administration has announced that no federal food aid will go out November 1. So let's work with that assumption at least.
Okay, but I'm wondering technically if it's not a matter that the money's not there, but rather he's not paying the people who would be moving that money out.
Yeah.
So in effect,
I don't know.
so same end result. The money's not going out.
Yeah, I don't know what the technicalities are, but I do know a couple of things that I want to talk about. The first is that, geez, Aunt, we've got 42 million people on food aid. We only have 330 million people.
Mm-hmm.
That's how many now? 1 in 8? 1 in 8 Americans are on food assistance? That is unsustainable. I can tell you that there are always going to be people who need food assistance. It will never be 1/8 of the population.
Yeah.
So there's something going on here, and it's going to have to be addressed, right? And there was a time, you remember it and I remember it, when people talked about the deserving and the undeserving poor. And we washed that out of our vernacular because it made the undeserving poor feel really bad about themselves. And I think I'm ready to start saying things like, do you deserve this? Are you able to work? This gets to the second point that I want to talk about in this very context, because in the Trump years, we have normalized cruelty. People are being quite rotten to each other. And you see all over social media, well, there shouldn't be food stamps anyway. To hell with you. Well, really? Because when you find out that considerably better than half the people on food assistance are in fact working. They're trying, right? They're doing what they can. It's just not working out. That's what we would call the deserving poor, right? People who are in the mix, giving it all they've got, right? They're just on hard times.
Right.
Right? And they might be on food stamps for a while and then not, and then back and then not. But hopefully the trajectory is upward to the point where they can become perfectly self-sustaining and maybe in their hearts thankful to the rest of us for the help we extended.
Mm-hmm.
I have no beef with people like that, none whatsoever. I do have a beef with people who want more and more and more and refuse to do anything to get it. And I think we're going to have to start differentiating. If we're at 1 in 8, we're going to have to start differentiating.
Well, and let me maybe put some context to that 1 in 8 number, because I don't know how they're counting this. If you say if they're counting people, not households, which
they're counting people,
would think they are, 42 million, figure a decent chunk of those are going to be children, right?
And,
I don't know how many.
Also, children
and also
and
the elderly.
The elderly.
So let's say, just for the sake of argument, half of the people of those 42 million are either children or elderly. Well, now you're down to 6%. Because the children are elderly, I wouldn't, they're relying on somebody else who hasn't stepped up, or circumstances or what have you. Yeah.
Failing.
So I would say really the number you're talking about is not 1 in 8, but 1 in 16.
Well, and we're going to have to figure it all out. It's going to take more work than we just did.
You know, I worked for many years, still do, with my parish and the many things that we do, and one of them is helping the poor. And this came up was one Christmas some years ago when, we were giving out things, and somebody said, well, there are people here who are coming for presents or food or what have you, and clearly they don't need it. And an older woman said, you have to go through the greedy to get to the needy. I thought, wow, that's a great way to look at it. Okay, fine, you're greedy, you don't need this, but we'll give it to you. You go, and that's now you're out of the way. I can get to the needy people I need to get
Yeah.
to.
And I have no problem with a private charity doing that. I have a lot of problem with the federal government doing that.
Yeah, and people will say, well, but private charities don't do enough. But I think part of the problem is we turn to government first. And government crowds out to, we can argue to what degree, but it does crowd out private charity. We should be doing it the other way. Turn to private charity first, and then let the government pick up the pieces that are left.
Yeah. Look, I think some form of workfare is in order. I really do. If you're gonna get a handout from the government, here's your crappy job we're gonna expect you to go do. Even if it's cleaning the highways or something. Something. Right? Just something. But anyway, there's more to the story than just this, although this is going to be a problem, right? Because you're going to have, regardless of how many people might not deserve this, you're going to have a bunch of hungry people as of November 1st.
Right.
And hungry people do desperate things. They do. And I can guarantee you that one of the first things that's going to ripple through the news is people stealing from grocery stores. And then the second thing that's going to ripple through the news once people realize that that's not as easy as it seems, they're just going to start taking shopping carts from people as they go from the door of the store to their car. Because those are the obvious victims. These things are going to happen if people get hungry enough. So you've got that coming November 1. And then you've got flight delays. Because 13,000 air traffic controllers and 50,000 Transportation Security Administration officers must work without pay. So all the air traffic controllers and the TSA guys. Now, I'm going to make the argument that we could probably live without the TSA guys. But the air traffic control system, that's one of the very few. That is one of the very few things I point to and say, this is why you want a federal government right here. They're being asked to work without pay. And you know what happens when people are asked to work without pay? They don't show up for work as much.
Right.
They take days off. They get sick and don't go. And I don't blame them. I wouldn't either. I don't go to work if somebody's not paying me. That's video game time, right? That's music time. I'm going to do something I truly enjoy if I don't have the opportunity to make a living. And so we've got, think about this. And look, even right now, we have kind of like rolling groundings in Houston and Dallas and a couple other airports right now. I think 8,000 flights were delayed yesterday. Holy crap.
Yeah.
Do you know what happens on November 27th, 3 weeks after the food runs out and 3 weeks after 13,000 air traffic controllers don't get paid?
Isn't that the heaviest travel day of the year?
Indeed it is. And the biggest eating day of the year.
Right.
Thanksgiving. What are all these poor people without food and all these air traffic controllers without pay? What's that going to yield around Thanksgiving? Chaos.
Well, certainly it's not going to go on that long. Do you think?
Well, and that's why I think it's not going to go that long. I think there is an obvious day that this nonsense needs to be squared away. And it's Thanksgiving. I think it can go until maybe a week or 5 days before Thanksgiving. But it can't go past that. Not without
I'd really be surprised to see it go that far.
I would like, and I'm going to temper my language here, because I don't want people to suffer. I want to make that perfectly clear. But I would like to see the backlash of a ruined Thanksgiving. I think that might teach politicians a lesson that they wouldn't otherwise learn. When they take away things that are important to people on a deep personal level, and we've said this before, at least I have, Thanksgiving is likely my favorite day of the year. It's a fantastic day. It has everything that I love wrapped up into one day. Probably not this year, as my two beautiful daughters have moved out of the house and are very unlikely to make it back, right? So the gathering of family, probably not going to happen. But a fantastic dinner, no expectations on the other people in your family, right? It's not a gift-giving opportunity / mess. Football on my TV, temperate weather outside my door. This is a wonderful American holiday. And if government ruins it even once, people may never trust government again.
At Words and Numbers, we spend a lot of time talking about what's going on in the economy and the government, but fundamentally all of this boils down to one thing. The greatest threat facing modern society is a lack of respect. The people who disagree somehow find it difficult, if not impossible, to discuss their differences in a civil manner. We at Civil are interested in upgrading civilization by encouraging people to engage with new ideas and ultimately to engage civilly with each other. If you share this idea, please join us by subscribing at civil.com. That's CIVL.com.